Welcome to WorldWire. Please subscribe and hit the bell icon for more breaking updates. For years, the China-Europe Railway Express was more than just a railway. It was a modern Silk Road, a lifeline of steel tracks stretching thousands of kilometers, carrying billions of dollars in goods from China to Europe. Every day, these trains moved everything from electronics and cars to clothing and machinery, connecting factories in the east to markets in the west. The rhythm of their wheels became the heartbeat of global trade, quietly powering economies and linking continents. But on September 11, 2025, that steady rhythm was shattered. In a single moment, everything changed, sending shockwaves through the world of international commerce. Poland, the European Union's crucial gateway, abruptly shut the Małaszewicze-Brest border crossing, the main artery for this vital railway. The closure was sudden, unexpected, and total. Trains loaded with iPhones, electric cars, and countless other goods ground to a halt, stranded at the border. Containers sat idle, their valuable cargo unable to move forward, as uncertainty spread across the supply chain. This wasn't a technical glitch or a simple delay. It was a deliberate political move with far-reaching global consequences. The world watched as a single decision rippled across continents. Businesses scrambled to find alternatives, but supply chains snapped under the pressure. Warehouses emptied, factories paused production, and the world was reminded just how fragile our interconnected trade routes really are. Poland's decision was about security, not economics. A stark message to the world that even the most efficient and reliable trade corridors can be severed overnight, with little warning. The silence on the tracks signaled a crisis that would test the resilience of global commerce, challenge the ambitions of China's Belt and Road, and force nations to rethink their dependencies. What happens when a single nation, citing security, can sever a continental trade artery? This is the story of that day, a day when the world realized just how quickly everything can stop. Poland's closure of the border was a direct response to escalating military threats from Russia and Belarus. For years, this border has been a vital artery for trade between the European Union and its eastern neighbors. But as tensions rose, the Polish government faced a difficult choice: protect its people or keep commerce flowing. The decision was swift and resolute. Security would come first, no matter the economic cost. In early September, joint military drills, including a simulated nuclear strike, Schattenstan, the Donride Shi Waichun. On edge. The exercises, conducted by Russian and Belarusian forces, sent a clear signal that the threat was not just theoretical. Polish officials watched closely, aware that any miscalculation could have serious consequences for the entire region. After repeated airspace violations by drones, Poland's government declared the border closed for security reasons. These incursions, some suspected to be surveillance missions, heightened fears of potential sabotage or even direct confrontation. The border, once a symbol of cooperation, now became a front line of defense. The message was unmistakable: national safety comes before trade. Polish leaders emphasized that no amount of economic benefit could justify putting citizens at risk. The government's stance resonated with many Poles, who saw the move as a necessary step in uncertain times. The EU backed Poland, reinforcing the seriousness of the threat. European leaders expressed solidarity, acknowledging that the security of one member state affects the entire bloc. This show of unity sent a strong message to Moscow and Minsk. The closure exposed the tension between economic cooperation and security fears at Europe's edge. Freight trains and trucks, once symbols of thriving cross-border commerce, now stood idle. The economic impact rippled through supply chains, affecting businesses far beyond Poland's borders. Poland made it clear: its territory wouldn't be a transit hub while under threat. The government's firm stance was a warning to others: security vulnerabilities would not be tolerated even if it meant disrupting vital trade routes. Though the border briefly reopened, Prime Minister Tusk warned it could close again at any moment. The situation remained fluid, with officials monitoring developments hour by hour. For many, the uncertainty was a stark reminder of the fragile balance between peace and conflict in the region. Businesses were left in limbo, uncertain if the route would ever be reliable again. Logistics managers scrambled to find alternatives, while exporters and importers faced mounting losses. The unpredictability of the border's status cast a long shadow over future trade plans. The precedent was set: security can override even the most lucrative trade routes. As Poland stands firm, the rest of Europe watches closely, knowing that in times of crisis, the priorities of nations can shift overnight. The China-Europe Railway Express is more than tracks. It's a pillar of global trade, connecting the East and West in a seamless flow of goods and services. It stands as a flagship of China's Belt and Road Initiative, a grand vision to enhance global trade routes and economic cooperation. In 2024, cargo volume jumped over 10%, with goods worth $25 billion, nearly 4% of EU-China trade, moving along this route. This surge underscores the railway's growing importance in international logistics. The railway's appeal: it's faster than sea, cheaper than air. A 15-day journey that powers e-commerce and high-value exports. This efficiency makes it a preferred choice for many businesses. 60% of cargo is high-value: lithium batteries, electronics, and electric vehicles. For China's EV industry, this route is indispensable. And for e-commerce giants like Temu and Shein, the railway is a critical link to Europe, ensuring timely delivery of goods to millions of customers. Poland's Małaszewicze hub became one of Europe's busiest, generating hundreds of millions in customs revenue. This hub is a testament to the railway's economic impact. The railway's success was built on speed, reliability, and mutual benefit. It created a network of trust and efficiency. But the closure exposed just how much depended on a single border crossing. This vulnerability highlighted the need for diversified routes. The disruption wasn't just about lost revenue, it was about the vulnerability of the entire system. Businesses faced delays and uncertainty. The railway's promise of fast, affordable delivery was suddenly in doubt. The reliability that businesses had come to depend on was shaken. The world saw how quickly a lifeline could become a choke point. This incident served as a stark reminder of the fragility of global supply chains. When Poland sealed the border, chaos erupted across global logistics. 90% of EU-bound Chinese rail cargo was halted. Over 130 trains stranded in Belarus. Freight prices tripled overnight, surpassing even pandemic highs. E-commerce giants faced a brutal choice: pay for costly air freight or endure month-long sea delays. Manufacturers scrambled for alternatives, disrupting production and fueling inflation. The scramble for capacity on sea and air routes drove up costs everywhere. The closure was a harsh lesson in supply chain fragility, a single point of failure with global consequences. The world's just-in-time economy was suddenly out of sync. Beijing responded with urgent diplomacy, but Poland stood firm. Security trumped trade. China's foreign minister met with his Polish counterpart, but Warsaw wouldn't budge. China, usually wielding economic clout, found itself powerless. With diplomacy stalled, China scrambled for alternatives. The Middle Corridor, through Kazakhstan, the Caspian Sea and Turkey, became the focus despite being slower and costlier. Other options like routes through Ukraine or the Baltics were risky or underdeveloped. The idea of an Arctic Polar Silk Road surfaced, but it's a distant prospect needing massive investment. The crisis exposed China's over-reliance on a single vulnerable route. Diversification was no longer optional, it was urgent. The search for new corridors had begun, but solutions would take time. The border closure revealed a core weakness in China's Belt and Road Initiative. The main overland route to Europe depended on Russia and Belarus, countries distrusted by the EU. China's partnership with Russia clashed with its need for smooth access to Europe. Europe's security moves, like Poland's closure, directly threatened China's trade ambitions. Infrastructure alone couldn't overcome geopolitical realities. Poland's control of a key entry point gave it unexpected leverage over China's land access to Europe. The crisis forced China to rethink its strategy. Relying on a single corridor was a strategic error. The Belt and Road's future now depends on diversification and adapting to a world where security can halt commerce overnight. The Iron Silk Road dream collided with the hard limits of geopolitics. The Polish standoff could permanently reshape China-Europe trade. The railway's reliability is shattered. Companies are seeking new, more resilient routes. Poland's move gave it geopolitical clout, but also risked losing its status as a key transit hub. China is accelerating investment in the Middle Corridor and maritime routes, learning not to rely on a single path. The Belt and Road's future will be defined by redundancy and flexibility. Globalization is shifting. Supply chains are becoming shorter, more regional, and shaped by security alliances. The era of trade at all costs is fading, replaced by a fragmented network of routes chosen for both efficiency and safety. The day the train stopped may be remembered as the moment the map of global trade began to be redrawn.